What's the most unexpected thing that happened while you were on a date? 1. I was on a date with someone I really liked, and as we finished our meal, I went to grab my wallet to pay. I was sure I had it, but when I looked inside my bag, it was empty. I panicked. I checked every pocket, every corner, and still nothing. Finally, I turned to my date and said, "I'm so sorry, but I think I left my wallet at home." She gave me a weird look and said, "No worries, I'll grab it." As she reached for her purse, I felt around one last time, and then I realized I had been holding my wallet the whole time. My face turned bright red, and we both burst into laughter. I was so embarrassed that I spent the next 10 minutes apologizing for the wallet disappearing act. It became one of those remember when moments, and we laughed about it for weeks. 2. I went on a date with a girl who seemed to be a pretty chill person, and when she suggested going dancing, I thought it would be a fun way to let loose. She mentioned she liked salsa, so I was like, "Yeah, I can dance. I'll figure it out." Turns out I had zero salsa skills. I kept stepping on her toes, spinning in the wrong direction, and getting completely lost in the rhythm. After a few minutes of me awkwardly flailing around the dance floor, she started laughing so hard that she couldn't catch her breath. I was so embarrassed, but she turned it into a joke, saying, "At least we'll remember this night." By the end of it, we were both laughing so hard that I barely even cared about my failed salsa moves. We didn't go dancing again, but it was definitely an unforgettable date. 3. I went on a date with a guy I'd met through a friend. We were having a nice conversation when he suddenly got very serious and said, "I just have to tell you, you have the most beautiful hands I've ever seen." I was caught off guard. Of all the things to compliment my hands, I looked down at them, confused, and said, Thanks?" He smiled and nodded like he had just made the most profound observation. He then proceeded to spend the next 10 minutes talking about the elegance of my fingers and how he could tell I was a delicate soul based on my hand movements. I had no idea what was happening, but by the end of the night, I was both flattered and super weirded out. We never went out again, but I'll always wonder what exactly made my hands so mesmerizing. 4. I went on a date with a guy who seemed pretty normal at first. We went for drinks, and during the conversation, he mentioned that he had a close friend he often hangs out with. Nothing too odd, right? Then, a few minutes later, he casually said, "Oh yeah, she's kinda my ex, but we're just friends now." Totally normal, right? I didn't even know how to respond. I tried to play it cool and said, "Yeah, totally. No big deal." But in my head, I was doing the mental math like, "You're telling me you're hanging out with your ex on the regular and I'm supposed to not find that weird?" It wasn't even the weirdest part. The weirdest part was when he invited her to join us in the middle of our date. So there I was, sitting across from two people who used to date, pretending I was perfectly fine with the situation. The date ended early, and I think we all agreed we'd never do that again.